You're watching PBC News, the headlines this hour. World leaders arrive in Manchester for the start of the G20 Summit. On the agenda, cybersecurity, climate change and the global economy. How resurgent ports and transport routes are transforming the North's economy. Powered by nature, Cumbria's tidal lagoon set to revolutionise energy use across the region. And Generation N, the people spurning the law of London for the North's booming economy. Welcome to the programme, broadcasting from the heart of the Northern Powerhouse. World leaders are in Manchester today ahead of the 2030 G20 Summit. The presidents of China, the United States and the European Union were among those to arrive at Manchester Airport this morning. High on the G20 agenda will be the ongoing threat of cyber attacks, progress in the 15-year-old Paris Climate Agreement, and the broader challenges facing the world economy. With the eyes of the world on Britain, the choice of Manchester as host of this year's G20 Summit is significant. The Prime Minister herself was at Manchester Airport to greet dignitaries who were offered a brief tour of the airport's new fourth terminal, which opens later this summer and will be amongst the most technologically advanced in the world. A fleet of specially designed Ventura driverless cars were also on hand to whisk global leaders to the new 7-star Pankhurst Hotel in Manchester's Media District. The summit itself is scheduled to run over the next 2 days, after which senior delegations from China, India and the United States are set to embark on a short tour combining the North's industrial heritage and modern infrastructure. President Bohai of China is understood to have personally requested a tour of the Saltaire Village World Heritage Site and the historic Derwent Valley Mills. But the tour will also showcase key aspects of the modern northern economy, including Manchester's Cyber Security Centre, the Health Innovation Centre at Salford Royal Hospital, and Boohoo.com's new state-of-the-art drone delivery warehouse. The region's cutting-edge aerospace industry will also be in focus, with a planned visit to the Northern Complex where the next generation of supersonic passenger aircraft are being designed. To discuss the significance of the North's G20 gathering, I'm joined in the studio by Professor Mark Glover. Professor, welcome. The eyes of the world are firmly fixed, as we've said, on the Northern Powerhouse. Why has Manchester been chosen to host the summit over, say, London?
Well, simply, Manchester is part of the Great Northern region. It's the fastest growing region in all of North Europe. It has been for the past decade. It is the place where we've got the leading academic and cultural and environmental aspects which you won't see in the south, and that is why people have been coming to the north. Contrast that to 10 to 15 years ago, where we had a blueprint for a new railway. It's been built. We've also seen Manchester Airport being significantly developed. All of those people coming to the G20 flew into the fourth terminal. You wouldn't have thought about that 10 years ago.
Thank you very much to Professor Mark Glover.
You're welcome.
Moving on now. New figures show that the number of goods arriving into and leaving Britain through ports in the Northern Powerhouse has outstripped those in the south for the first time. Over half of all imports coming into the UK end up in the north, with almost all of them now arriving here directly by ship. This is in sharp contrast compared to 15 years ago, when almost 90% of the region's imports entered the UK through the south and were transported north by road and rail. With more on this, here's our reporter Chris Miller.
After a decade of investment in better transport links, more than half of the goods coming into and out of the region pass through ports and airports in the Northern Powerhouse. That's good news for major ports such as Liverpool, Salford, Teesside, Immingham and Hull. Millions of tons of cargo, from cars and petrochemicals to consumer goods, now pass through the region's ports. Increased engineering and advanced manufacturing in the Northern Powerhouse are seen as a key factor in the growth of Teesport. A transformation in the railways has played its part, with dramatically improved connections at ports and freight distribution centres. Rail links with the rest of the UK will be further boosted as High Speed 2 and the Northern Powerhouse railway network come into operation over the next few years. And it's not just in rail where the changes are being felt. On the road, the Great Trans-Pennine Road Tunnel has quickly become a vital economic artery for the Northern Powerhouse.
Chris Miller reporting. Business leaders have praised the Northern Powerhouse's transport links for providing an economic boost by bringing them closer to their customers and suppliers. Meanwhile, Transport for the North has highlighted the early decisions it made to ensure the region had the right roads and railways for the job. Some news in brief now. The latest version of the North Key app has been unveiled today. As well as using the key to pay for any taxi, train, tram and bus services, it also takes live data from every vehicle to allow passengers to plan their individual journeys and change their route to avoid any delays. Experts say it will enable even more seamless travel on public transport across the whole of the Northern Powerhouse. Manchester, Liverpool and Leeds may be better known for their sporting rivalries, but there is no such feeling when it comes to energy. They're set to become the first tri-city network in the UK for energy supplies. A new scheme has been launched which will see businesses from across the region spending up to 2 hours a week visiting schools to provide careers advice and a better understanding of the future skills Northern Powerhouse firms will require in the workplace. The region's smart motorway network celebrates its 10th anniversary today. The upgrade of all the region's motorways was one of the first projects delivered in the Northern Powerhouse, along with the electrification of the main railway lines. Atkins, which designed the network, said that delays have been reduced by more than 50%, saving millions of wasted hours in traffic jams. You're watching PBC News. Coming up in the programme, how millions of skilled workers are swapping London for the Northern Powerhouse. A new wave of power is set to transform the way energy is generated in the north. Cumbria's new tidal lagoon is due to come online later this month, significantly boosting the power mix for the region's homes and industry. The site harnesses the power of the tide to generate safe, reliable, renewable energy. Cumbria is fast becoming Britain's renewable energy capital. The new tidal lagoon project is just the latest development in the green energy field, which also includes major offshore wind farms in the Irish Sea. The state-of-the-art energy project is built on the success of Swansea's tidal lagoon, but is much greater in scale. Its development has been broadly welcomed by residents in the area.
Well, I think most people come to Cumbria to see the lakes and the mountains. We don't spend that much time by the coast, but I think the tidal lagoon has regenerated the area and it just gives you more things to do in the great outdoors.
Low carbon energy is really great, and it's also brought thousands of jobs and breathed life into the town and the economy. Lots of the technology was actually built and sourced in the north, and it's how the Northern Powerhouse was always intended to be.
Experts say stable supplies of renewable energy from places such as the Cumbria Tidal Lagoon are increasingly important for UK PLC, especially as global markets in fossil fuels such as oil and gas have become more volatile. In a sign of the changes sweeping the energy industry, tidal power is now one of the most competitive forms of electricity generation in the UK. And finally, hundreds of thousands of people are spurning the law of London for the Northern Powerhouse's booming economy. What was the so-called brain drain of skills and talent from the north has become a thing of the past, according to a new report. Over the last decade, the culture, sport and areas of natural beauty which have been key to a good quality of life in the north has been supplemented with modern infrastructure and a growing economy, which many believe is the main reason behind the change. People across the region are now more likely to travel, connect and work together in the Northern Powerhouse than up sticks and move south. Demand for high-skilled jobs to support the North's new economy is also attracting an increasing number of people from London and the South East. Much of the turnaround has been attributed to the growth of specialised industries and universities across the region, including the graphene-related industry in Manchester, health in Newcastle, bioscience in Liverpool and Cheshire, and green energy in Sheffield and Hull. According to the report's author, a number of other key factors have changed patterns of migration to favour what has now been dubbed Generation North.
Over the past decade, the huge investment in modern infrastructure and the access to world-leading training and research facilities has also seen many new FTSE 100 established in the North, particularly in the engineering, advanced manufacturing and creative industries. That means more jobs, and more jobs means more people.
Meanwhile, the Northern Powerhouse Apprenticeship Hub has been gaining interest elsewhere, not least in Germany, where legislators plan to copy the scheme. The hub brings together colleges, training providers and employers to take a long-term approach to planning and the development of skills that will be needed in the future. Here's the view of one recent apprentice.
I started out as a railways systems apprentice back in 2016, and I've now just started my own consultancy which provides specialist devices to the manufacturers of driverless cars, and it would only have been possible through the apprenticeship scheme.
The report's findings coincide with fresh debate about the future of the Houses of Parliament in London. As the cost of updating and repairing the crumbling Palace of Westminster reaches astronomical levels, calls continue to grow louder for MPs to consider following the people by moving to the Northern Powerhouse. A future Houses of Parliament in the North? You'll be sure to hear about it here first. But that's all for this edition of PBC News. Thanks for joining us.